Hot stuff. What is your relationship like with being chosen? I was thinking about that this week and how I feel like I am an expert on this subject matter. The reason I am an expert on this, as someone that is very much single but dating, the amount of dates that I've gone on that I've been ghosted from, the amount of times that I've been rejected, I would say that this has been the biggest thing that I've had to work on in my dating life. And because I've had to work on this in my dating life, it's naturally like translated into business. And stuff still gets to me. I'm going to say that. I still have days where I feel rejected by someone in my dating life or in business. And I'm like, oh, that stings. It's kind of like that they're just it's just like pressing on a bruise. And sometimes it takes you by surprise. Isn't it funny? It's like sometimes you just don't care. And then other times it just gets you and it aches. I want to talk about that today because you are going to have times in your business where you see someone and they're your dream client. And for whatever reason, they decide not to work with you, but they work with someone else selling something similar. So you thought, oh my gosh, I would love to take their photo. And then all of a sudden they go and they get another photographer and it really hurts. And I think why it hurts is it's like it reflects back on us all of the things that we maybe fear the most about ourselves, that our work isn't good enough or that we're too much or that we're not enough. And this is where it's like all of the things that sometimes that we push down because we use validation from other things. It's like they come to the surface. They like bubble to the surface. And what I mean by this is, you may have this belief that you're like not good enough and that your work isn't that great. And that just, it kind of is like pushed to the side anytime you go to sale. It's like you forget about it. It's still there. You can see it, but you'll look at like the praise and the validation that you get. And as soon as that's not there and you have a quieter week with sales, and then all of a sudden you're like, how have I lost like 2 jobs to like other people? It's like this belief, just like a jack in the box, it just pops up. So this is something I've had to deal with my whole life. Now I'm going to talk a bit about dating and then we're going to swing back to business. I have never had a long-term relationship ever in my life. I am 37 and it's so funny. I kind of feel like Charlotte from Sex and the City. I remember being like 18, 19 and I was like, where's my man? Like, where is my man? I had no interest in like dating. I wanted to just meet someone. And I've never seen myself like wanting to have a family or kids. I can see myself being stepmom, but I always wanted to meet someone. And for whatever reason, my journey that I've had to go on with this has meant that I have not ever been fortunate enough to meet someone and settle down. I have been the single girl and I've been the person that is out there that is dating. And unfortunately, what comes with dating is you are dealing with a whole heap of people and people that maybe can't communicate or have a conversation. So they'll ghost you or they will use you to validate themselves. So I've had this before where I don't think, and this is going to sound like I'm up myself, but like if you've experienced this, where you give someone a chance that you probably wouldn't normally date. And then it's like, then they get this thing where it's like, oh, they've bagged a baddie. And then they get this confidence and they treat you like shit. And they just assume that like they can go and get all these other hot women. And it's like, doesn't work like that, buddy. But, I have had to go through this. And I think one of the hardest lessons that I had to learn in dating is I had to get over my wound of being chosen and assuming that if someone isn't choosing me, it means something about me. And what's so interesting about this is all of my I mustn't be enough is really my internal monologue that I will push down. Again, it's like that little jack in the box. I push it back in the box and I close that lid. And then as soon as something happens and I'm feeling a bit tender, and especially if it happens a couple times, like a jack in the box, it comes straight out. But what it's doing is it's revealing all of the parts of me that maybe like are my biggest fears coming out. And this is where we now get to address all of this stuff. What I do in dating is anytime something happens and my little chosen bruise just gets like absolutely pounded, It's a chance for me to kind of just check in and be like, well, why is this happening? And what can I do about it? And what do I need to give myself where I am relying on the validation from someone else? So it's like, okay, cool. Let's stick with dating. If I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, maybe he found someone else that was like more attractive, it's like, okay, let's just pause for a second. What's happening with your self-image right now? Let's just put the man to the side and let's focus on you. And it could be, oh, well, I'm just not feeling still 100% confident in my body. And it's almost like I'm looking for a reason to affirm something I believe. And this is where I get to rewrite that story and I get to tell myself something where it's like, well, you're on a health journey at the moment. You look fucking amazing. Like, how cool is it that you get to go into stores and you know that you're going to be able to put something on, it's going to look fucking amazing on you. People always give you compliments. Like, where has this come from? And I then get to sit with that and address that. And something really cool has happened where, I still get down about things in dating, but so much less than I did before. There would be sometimes times when I would get ghosted by someone and I would really let this affect me for like weeks or even months at a time, instead of just being like, you're allowed to feel bad because someone's can't communicate. But we're not going to kind of like integrate that into you. Like, we're not going to now like make this a huge monologue about how you could be better. And I tend to get over things so much quicker than I did before. So how this can relate to business is you will sometimes feel like that. There are people out there who seem to just have their shit together. And, I want you to think about some people within your industry right now that you're like, oh my gosh, like then maybe they're not even like selling what you're selling. It could be someone and you like follow them on Instagram and it feels like that they're getting all the things that you want, but for some reason you just can't get it. So maybe you're like, oh, I really want to do some speaking events and I'm following people and they always seem to be doing this. Or I really want to book VIP days and they always seem to be doing this. I want you to think about that. Then what I want you to do from here is I want you to think about all the stuff that comes up. And all of the reasons that you tell yourself, like that little jack in the box that comes out, all of the reasons that come up for you, all of the shit that you tell yourself about how you're not good enough and how they must be better or their branding is better, or maybe like they've got better clothes or they've got a really like beautiful house or they've got whatever it is, okay? And what I want to say is, you don't want to be standing on the sidelines, looking at someone else's business while they're on stage, building them up and talking about they're amazing, why they're so amazing and how this can work for them. And of course this is. And I want you to do that for yourself. So I want you to, whatever it's going to take, like mute them, practice some self-control so you don't check their stuff. And I want you to think about the same amount of effort that you put into boosting someone else up and talking about how this must work for them. And I want you to do the same for yourself, right? The same for yourself. Because we all have like incredible qualities that we overlook because they are so close to us. It's like, these are our gifts. It's something where we don't even realize it's a quality that is amazing. For me, I can talk to anyone. Put me in a room. I can hold a conversation with anyone. And I know that there would be some people who would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just randomly can talk to men or you can just flirt in the supermarket. How do you do that? I wish I could do that. And it's like, well, I don't know. It's just me. Of course, I've like worked on this, but for the most part, it's like, this is just me. And you have things that people would look at with so much envy, wishing that they had like a tenth of what you had. And this is about recognizing that and remembering that every single day. And anytime you feel like that you're not chosen because someone else has gone with someone that's not you, this is where you get to remember that. And you get to be like, well, even though I didn't get that client that I really want, how cool is it that I now have space for like someone else to come in and book me? How cool is it that I now have a chance to remember why I'm so fucking amazing? This would happen to me where I would have this thing and it would kill me. where people would be like, I want to work with you. And then they would go and work with someone that was like a little bit cheaper. And then they would come to me and say, oh my God, I've had a really bad experience with this coach, but I really want to work with you. And now I have no money. And I would be on the receiving end of this person's like bad decision. And I would then be like, why the fuck are they going with them? You know what? Like sometimes it is a reminder that maybe you need to be more visible. Maybe you need to be a bit more audacious with your marketing. Maybe you need to follow up and have some sales conversations, right? Sometimes it's that. Sometimes you are going to be on the receiving end of not being chosen because you don't choose yourself and you like hide yourself. You're like, well, I don't choose myself. So I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to do content. I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to send the emails. I'm not going to follow people up. And then as a byproduct, by you not choosing yourself, no one chooses you. Sometimes that is why you're not chosen. So maybe for you, this is your wake up call where if you're not being chosen, you need to choose yourself. And you need to put yourself out there so people can choose you. And then other times what this is, it's about remembering that sometimes shit happens. People are going to make their own decisions. Clients are going to work with whoever they want. Sometimes they will just be sucked in because they will be experiencing something in that moment and they will look at what this person says and they say exactly what they need to hear or something that just like agitates them or it pleases them or it just like channels into that desire in a moment where they need to hear that. Sometimes that happens and they're like, bam, I'm in. And you're like, hold on, how the fuck has this happened? It's like, I've been saying this. That's just life. Sometimes that happens. You know, this is where entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And the reason it's not for everyone is because you have to deal with hard stuff like this on a daily basis, where it's like you're putting yourself out there and you're having to now deal with this, where it's like it's different obviously with a salary. Because, you know, it's not your business. You can just kind of show up. You don't really need to give it your all. It's like your income isn't really going to waver if you give 110% versus if you're just like, let me coast through the week. Well, when it's business, it's different. And I think for a lot of us, especially we've created our business, there's so much heart and love and soul in what we're doing. You know, it is hard when there is that. And we feel like that we know we do a good job and we know that we can impact people's lives. But for whatever reason, it's like, how the fuck am I invisible? Why are you choosing them over me? It's really hard. And I think for a lot of people, they're just not willing to do that. And that's again why I said entrepreneurship is not for everyone, because you have to deal with all this stuff. But this is why it does become the greatest personal development experience, because you have a chance where you have to deal with this every day. Your livelihood is on the line. You have to deal with this. So what I do when this happens, and I feel like that everyone else is choosing everyone but me, is I get to check in and I get to be like, why is this agitating me? What is this highlighting that maybe I'm not conscious of? Or what is this highlighting that is like my greatest fear? And then I get to make a decision. Okay, cool. Is this a priority? Go and do it. Is this something you need to get better at? Go and do it. Is this something that you just need to accept? Go and do it. You know, I would see this a lot where I would see people and I would be privy to like the back end of their business and I would know that what's happening front of house is very different to behind the scenes. And, you know, I would have this all the time where people would be like, oh, that competitor of yours, I know that no one's happy about working with her. I would get so annoyed. Because I'm like, well, fuck, why the fuck am I quiet? And I get really ragey, right? And then I was like, okay, just pause. Like you getting ragey isn't helping you, okay? And I think this is where I would get really stuck on, well, if I was better and if I was this. And where I feel like the sting of this has been less and less and less is I feel that when you are working truly in alignment and when you know that you're doing good work and when you show up and you are deeply proud and you know that you've put out the best work that you can, like on whatever day, it's like we're all going to have different capacities. Sometimes we're sick, sometimes we're overloaded. We're going to do the best that we can. When I know that I've been really doing the best that I can and I've been doing good work and I'm proud of it, it's so funny that I never really stress if I lose a client or they go and work with someone else. I can get a bit annoyed, absolutely. There is that sting, there is that uncomfortable emotion. But it quickly dissipates when I'm like, well, I don't know why. For whatever reason, they have gone and they have chosen to work with them. But I know that I've done my best work. I know that I've showed up. I know that I have been really authentically me. And where it stings is where I feel like that I'm playing it safe, or I've held myself back. I think a lot of the time when you have like a personal brand and we have like a solo founded business, it's really easy to think that like we are our business, where it's like your business is a separate entity and you work for your business. And this is helpful to remember. Now, it's right. We want this separation because if someone doesn't work with us, it's nothing about us. It is a business decision. And when it's a business decision, we then can actually look at this logically and we can ask ourselves, okay, cool, do I want that client? If they've been sucked in with that kind of marketing, do I want that client? Are they after a quick win? Or, are they just like chasing money? Do I want that? Or do I want to work with people that are deeply aligned? And this also gives us a chance to even get more clarity on the kind of energy that we want in our business. And it's like, if this is really important to you, put that out there. Like, communicate that a bit more. It's a chance for us to, dial in our marketing a bit and to remember that. So what I want to say is when it feels like that you are not being chosen, this is where you get to choose yourself. You get to add to your evidence bag why you are incredible. You are going to have to deal with this through your whole entrepreneurial life. I think sometimes we feel like that if we just get to a particular income level or a particular point, we aren't going to have to deal with that. You're always going to have to deal with that. The difference is you're just going to have a bigger business, hopefully with more money, right? Like you're still going to have to deal with this. I think about this a lot where it's like, I am going to get to a point where I'm $1 million a year Peter, and I'm still going to have people who will go to other people other than me. That sometimes happens. So hot stuff, you want to make sure that you are choosing yourself. You want to make sure that if this has pushed on a bruise, that you address what that's about and you just don't shove it back in the box. Otherwise, again, like a jack in the box, it's just going to pop right out at the most inconvenient of times. It is up to you to remember who you are. It is up to you to remember your gifts and how you are the only person in the entire world that has your aura, your energy, your talent. No one can compete with you. They absolutely cannot compete with you. The cool thing is, if you feel like this is happening a lot, great, you are getting practice in. You're getting so much practice in. I think this heaps, right? I think about this where I'm like, I look at some people and I'm like, fuck, I feel like they always win. And then I'm like, okay, cool. But how cool is it that you get to practice all this now and you get to get the reps in now? You get to get so good at this and so strong at this. So when this happens in future, you're like, water off a duck's back. I literally can eat this shit for breakfast because I used to deal with this every single day. Where it's like, okay, cool. The more that I practice and master this now, I'm going to be a fucking pro at this in the future. And if no one has ever had to deal with this, I couldn't imagine having to deal with that when I'm like super visible or when I feel like that I have more riding on the line because I've got like a huge team and I've got this big profile, right? So remember that, okay? Choose yourself. Remember why you're fucking awesome. Write it down. If it helps, write it down. Write a list. Here are 20 reasons why I'm all awesome. Here are 20 reasons why no one else can compete with me. This is what I bring to the table, and I want you to look at that. And then every time you feel a moment where you are building up someone else because they've been chosen, you're like, this is why they must be better. I'm going to encourage you to add more things to that list. And we want to make this so exhaustive. Hot stuff. I love this. I love you. You know I'd choose you. You know I would choose you. You know I'm obsessed with you. What do I love you more than? I love you more than lemongrass and ginger tea. There is something really nice about it. I just, oh my God, it's delicious. I think it was 2014, I went and stayed for a week at Gwingana Health Retreat. And I'm pretty sure in the rooms, I don't know if it has ginger in it, but they would have lemongrass tea. And every time I have lemongrass tea, I think about spa, like a sexy spa experience. So I love you more than that. I also love you more than a spa experience. I love you more than just going somewhere and just being completely like looked after, where it's like you don't even need to think about anything. It's like, here's your itinerary. Go and just follow your itinerary. We're going to clean up after you. We're going to cook for you. We're going to decide how things are going to look. You just like exist and be present. Oh my God, I fucking love that. That's my dream. I think sometimes people think that because I'm super Virgo, I love to like make all these decisions. Look, I like things my way. I like things the Peter way. But for the most part, I don't want to have to decide shit. Oh my God, you know what my worst nightmare is? A passive man. That's someone I will never date. A passive man who can't make a decision. Gross. what I do is if I'm on a date, and we're at a restaurant, and he's like, "Oh," like, if it's the kind of place where we can share, I will let him choose. I will give him requirements of what I will and will not eat. So I'm like, "No mushrooms, no oysters. I can't do either of them." I don't also love finger food. I hate my hands getting dirty. So I will usually, like, let him decide. And if the man can't, you know what? If the man can't navigate a menu, he cannot navigate a future. And you also can see if he's generous, if he's happy to, like, over order, like how there's something hot. It's like command a menu. Oh, yeah, I love it. It's just really, really, really hot. So I love you more than that. I'm not even ovulating. I know you're probably like, "Are you ovulating right now?" Actually, I am not ovulating, but there is just something really attractive. Oh my God, I'm having a flashback. Okay, love you more than that. Yeah, let's end it here. Hot stuff. I love this. I love you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Mwah.